Check out that view, ladies and gentlemen. These cars look so sick together. And don't worry, the M4 is not stuck. I have snow tires in the back. So, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. I know a lot of people have been asking me this question and I've been ignoring you because I haven't had the M4 for that long. Now, the M4 is back. The coilover has been fixed. It's been about 2-3 months since I've had it actually running, and the other 2 months it was in the shop. Now I have a good basis to tell you guys exactly how much I like one car over the other and why. And usually with these videos, I snake you guys and I say all the reasons why, and then at the very end I tell you what I like more, or which car is gonna win, or something like that. So today, I'm just gonna start off the video with saying, I like the M4 more.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Okay, so the people that just wanted the plain answer, there you go, now you can click off the video. But for the people that want to know why, I have 5 reasons why, 5 different categories, and the first one we're just gonna go over is looks. Now, in this category, it's kind of hard to debate it because the S4 looks so good, and especially with the aftermarket wheels I have at home, but the M4 is just so much better. Now, the S4 has a more unique color. This car is like one of 46 in the country. This volcano red metallic just looks insane. And the M4 is, I can't lie, it's more of a basic color. It's still really cool and you don't see it on a lot of cars, but it's just a lot more like neutral. So with that being said, in aspect of color, the S4 looks a lot better. But in overall like design and aggressiveness, you tell me, look at this. That's the M4. See, think of that coming up behind you in your rearview mirror. And then look at the S4. Still really aggressive, but I would be more scared of this than that. Now also with that being said, the M4, even though it's more of a neutral color, breaks so many more necks. More people like looking at the M4 than the S4. I have people following me, and then when I pull over, they're like, dude, I really like your car, I just wanted to say I like it. Well, the S4 still happens, but just not as much. So honestly, in terms of looks, the M4 takes the cake. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna drive the cars because the next category is performance. Oh my god. Perks of rear-wheel drive in the winter, boys. Let's see if we can get out. Oh, there we go. See? Those winter tires didn't do that bad. Now, next thing in this category that we're gonna go over for performance is handling. And that's perfect because we are on a very windy road. And yeah, the only issue is there is snow on this thing. And that's kind of a bummer. But the M4 compared to the S4 has a lot less body roll. Now, this car is 500 pounds lighter, which also goes into performance. And it just goes through corners like nothing. Granted, the coilovers on this car are like 5 times more expensive than the S4's coilovers. But even with stock suspension, this car was given a better suspension system than the S4 from factory. Now, I didn't get this car with the stock suspension, but I just know from other friends' point of views that that's how it is. Also, with weight comes a power to weight ratio difference. The M4 puts down around the same power as the S4, actually like 20 wheel less, 10 to 20 wheel less. And it beats the S4, especially top end. And that's because the M4 is 500, 400 pounds lighter. So with that taken into account, I'm gonna get more bang for my buck out of this car because I can put down the same power, but it weighs lighter. So it's gonna do way better numbers. And then also, given that the M4 is rear wheel drive, it feels more like a driver's car. You actually gotta pay attention a lot more. You gotta focus on what you're doing. You gotta be in the right gear to make sure you're in boost. Like, this car just like requires a lot more attention than the S4, while like the S4, sometimes you can fall asleep driving it. All right, we're gonna switch spots. I think Jean's gonna be pretty excited about that. All right, so now this car is a lot more easy to drive. It definitely is a lot smoother. Like, the DCT is definitely a lot harder shifting, but it is faster. And this car also just really has like a really good sound. I don't know how to explain it, just the fact that you can hear the supercharger and the exhaust, and it's, I don't know. I bet once we get intakes on the M4, it'll sound a little bit better inside the car, but right now, like, you just can't even hear the turbos that much. But all around, the S4 is a really good performing car. This car is like the ultimate daily, the ultimate city car, because you literally can go from a stop to 60 miles an hour so fast and not have to worry about losing traction at all. While as the M4, you gotta either wait to get boost or be really careful because you're gonna spin out. Now, given the supercharger, it does lack top end. The car basically loses all of its power at like 120 kilometers an hour. And at that point, like, turbocharged cars really start to leave this car in the dust because this car can't keep up. Because the supercharger, it only spins so fast, and then you're relying on that V6, which honestly, a V6 isn't gonna have as much top end as a V8. Now we gotta be really careful because the radar detector is in the M4, not the S4, so we gotta keep it under the speed limit. Maybe not. Maybe the M4 sounds better. I don't know. All right, we're going over. Oh, Jean spun out. Now, I know that my decision is gonna hurt a lot of my followers' feelings because you guys followed me for the Audi. And for me saying that the M4 I would prefer more, I understand where you're coming from, but like, maybe if this was a different kind of Audi, like maybe an RS3 or something like that, but this car is just a lot more raw compared to this car. And maybe that's because that's an M versus an S rather than an M versus an RS. So right now, in terms of performance, the M4 does win, but the S4 is a really close second because the S4 just handles a lot better when daily driving it because, like I said, you have that supercharger, instant torque, and all-wheel drive. Like, you feel a lot safer in this car, and you can daily this car in the snow, rain, summer, spring, and it's gonna be completely fine. While this car, and wet and snow, you gotta be a lot more careful, and you don't have the supercharger to get you that boost from 0 to 60. But now we're at 2 to 0, so the S4 has to get a point now, and the next category is interior, build quality, and electronics. So with this being said, we're gonna get into the BMW real quick. Now, the interior in this car is really nice. I like it a lot. We have these nice cloth seats. Now, the trim was wood, not carbon, but we can't go over the spec because other M4s have different specs and stuff like that. Now, with this car, it does have a lot more modern feel, as in, like, there's a lot more digital stuff in the dash and up here. However, overall, it feels like this car just is slightly, like, cheaper in build quality compared to the S4. Now, let me explain why I say that. Now, this car just, like, there's a lot, like, the plastics, like, push in a lot easier, like, the interior, like, you can click out things a lot easier and stuff like that. Now, not necessarily that's a bad thing, just in this car, it feels more like a sports car, you know, a lot more smaller and not as luxurious as the Audi. Now, there's another thing that this car that you guys have seen in other videos where I've had issues with. There's the sensors, and like if a sensor gets dirty, like it throws up a code and it gets annoying, and like when I lowered the car, it brought up this other code saying the steering angle needed to be adjusted just because I lowered it like a 1/4 inch. Now, yeah, I know I just need to recalibrate it, but still, like, this car is like, everything has to be perfect for it to run perfect, while as the S4, if like a little warning light comes on, it doesn't completely like go into limp mode. So that's how I feel about the M4. Speakers though are way better in this car though. I don't know why, but the Harman Kardon, and maybe because it's a coupe, the speakers in this car sound so much better than the Audis. Now the Audi is Bang & Olufsen or something like that, so that's still a good system, but this one just sounds a lot better. Now in the Audi, however, we don't have leather door cards like the M4, but in this car, there's just something about it that's like, it just feels solid, you know? And I like that solid feel of like having a car that, you know, that like if I turn this button too hard, it's not gonna break. Kind of stuff like that. So in terms of build quality, road noise, the M4 actually has a lot more road noise than the Audi. In terms of build quality and like luxuriousness and the fact of like not going into limp mode because the sensor is dirty, the Audi wins. So now we're at 2-1. So now we're getting into the big one, and it's gonna be costs. Now, this car is a completely different price point in this car. It's like twice as much. However, which one's better? Like, which one's the best bang for your buck? Which one's gonna give you the best power? Which one has like the best price, like aftermarket parts, cosmetic and performance-wise, as the other one? And let me explain something to you. Audi is very expensive. Audi and Porsche are like the two most expensive like German companies to buy from. Like a catless downpipe or test pipes necessarily for this car are $1,000, while a catless downpipe for this car was like $300 and something. Like, it's a crazy big difference. Like carbon fiber pieces, like that front lip was like $700, $800. This one, yeah, that one's like $1,000, but that's like one of the most expensive ones you can get, and that one came with the car, so I didn't have to buy it. But comparing the two cars in terms of like which car can get like more aftermarket parts for a better price, the M4 takes the cake. BMW parts, there's so many places that make them, and they're very competitive pricing, so the M4 honestly is a lot more cost effective than the Audi. However, a lot of people can't afford the initial purchasing price of $46,500, which is why I spend on mine, but they can definitely afford $25,000, $30,000 for a car like this. And then another $4,000 to $5,000 in aftermarket performance modifications to make it faster. So like, to make this car 400 wheel horsepower or around there is gonna be like a good amount of money. However, even after you do all of that, you won't pass this car in initial purchasing price, if that makes sense. I go off of how much it costs to make them fast and how much it costs to modify them and make them look cool. And in that perspective, the M4 takes the cake. But if you're looking at a car that's like overall costs, the S4 wins. And also the S4 gets better gas mileage than the M4, so you're not gonna be spending as much in gas on the S4. So in that perspective, I say the M4 wins, you tell me. So it's either gonna be 3-1 or 2-2, and the last category is gonna be
the M4.
No, that's not a category. The next category is gonna be overall satisfaction as an owner. Now, an overall satisfaction is basically just an all-around feel of every single car, and it mixes in all the other like tiny categories that I didn't include. And one of them is like, how easy are the cars to work on? And honestly, both of them are relatively just as hard to work on. The M4 takes a lot more specialty tools than the S4, but the M4 has a lot more easier things to work on. Like, I don't know. It's just a lot easier to do stuff on the M4 than the S4, in my opinion, for the stuff that I've had to do for my cars. Now, driving through town just now, the M4 gets a lot more attention, and a lot of people like the M4 a lot more. And in turn, that makes me really happy. And so, knowing that this car makes a lot more people like enjoy it rather than the S4, I say that I'm more satisfied with how like people react to the M4 more than the S4. Dang, we actually drove these cars today, dude. Look at all the snow and dirt. I literally washed this car yesterday and I washed this car this morning. And dude, kind of dirty. So like I was saying about overall satisfaction, these cars, they're both like super good and I love them both in their own way. Just this car is just more of a driver's car, more of a fun car in general, and that's why I choose that car. So overall satisfaction, I would say the M4 wins in that category. So 3-2, S4 lost, but it's still a super great car. And if this car was an RS, it might be a different story. And with that being said, should we potentially sell this car once this car is full bolt-on with the stock turbos? I think that's a good possibility, and then we go shopping again and we try and replace it, maybe with the B9 S4, maybe a higher mileage RS3, or we switch it up and go JDM or American. So that's also an option, or we could also just keep it. We could also just make it look super good, do like nice paint correction, get everything dialed in on the car, and just like make it a complete show car and bag it. I don't know. There's a lot of different options we could do. But if you guys have any more questions about the M4 and S4, feel free to DM me on Instagram where I get my parts, stuff like that. I'm always open to tell you guys some stuff. And I think that's going to wrap up today's video. Let me know what you think about my decision about choosing the M4 over the S4. I know a lot of the Audi guys are going to be like, nope, you should have chose the S4. But hey, I own both, and from my personal experience, yeah. Also, in terms of reliability, they are both very reliable. Granted, I've only had the car for 5 months, so I'll see you guys in 6 months. But until then, guys, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, and if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and the bell. And that view just doesn't get any better than that. I'll see you guys next time. Drive safe. Dude, look at that car. And my windshield is really dirty, so it probably ruins this whole clip.